policy. These are some other organizations that stand with us in opposing Common Core. I just want you to know you're not an outlier. There are reputable groups, and these are just a few that I chose that I thought might be relevant to this group. And then let me get to the legislation. Oh, it stopped clicking. Okay. House Bill 25 is Representative Debbie Mayfield.
Yes.
You should have that on your handout. Debbie Mayfield filed this bill back in August 2013 when she was the only one. She stood alone against Common Core. This is a pause bill as it is submitted right now. It would call for a pause in implementation until a couple requirements are met, hearings in all 67 counties or school districts, and a fiscal analysis before they proceed. This doesn't do enough. Quite honestly, what we have to have happen is the bill needs to be heard. Because right now, leadership is saying we don't even want those bills to be heard. We don't want them to come even be heard in committee. So what we're going to need your help with is really rallying support for these bills to be heard. They deserve a hearing. Thousands and thousands of parents all over Florida, and I'm telling you, they know we're out there. It's been the hot topic around the Capitol for months. But we've got to continue to apply pressure. This bill deserves to be heard. I want you to notice the names down the right-hand side. These are folks that have only in recent days stepped forward as co-sponsors for this bill. Again, she stood alone for a long time. We didn't have a Senate sponsor until the last 4 days before the deadline. And finally, a Senate sponsor came along. So if you're seeing any of those folks tomorrow, I have handouts for you that I'd like you to take to them to thank them for their co-sponsorship of this bill. I would like you to thank Debbie Mayfield for her sponsorship. And I have lots of other things for you as well. John, can we click or I'll try? Okay. This is our Senate sponsor, Greg Evers. Again, same kind of thing. Co-sponsor is Alan Hayes, who is a friend of Florida Family Policy Council, so we're very grateful for his co-sponsorship. Action points for you. Let's click on. This website I want you to go to tonight before you go to bed. It's stopcommoncoreflorida.com. Very easy to use. I can't leave the mic. But here on the left-hand side, email your legislators button. When you click that button, you simply put in your address information. It immediately populates, and it's a one-click to send a letter to your legislators indicating your dissatisfaction with Common Core and your support of these bills. Second action point, you may join my Facebook page if you like. Florida Family Policy Council will send out action alerts that address these issues. I'm sure we're going to have a bill heard or something. But in the meantime, if you want to keep up with what's going on, I've got a sign-up sheet over here. It's a personal page that I maintain on Facebook to address Common Core. Tomorrow, you can visit key offices and hand-deliver your message essentially saying we need to have Senate Bill 1316 and House Bill 25 heard. Again, I have handouts for you to take with you to your senator, your representative, and some key folks that we need to reach. And the last point is this Saturday in Orlando, we have a big event called Operation Education with David Barton. I have handouts on that as well over here. We'd love to see a huge turnout. This is twofold in importance. Number one, it's an educational event, so bring people. Bring private Christian school administrators, teachers. Bring your homeschooled friends. This impacts everybody, you guys. The second important factor here is that it draws attention to our cause. These legislators are watching, and so if we have 800 people show up, which would kind of max out our building, well, that's what we're hoping to do, because they are watching the faith-based community, and that we need to show them that we're standing in solidarity against Common Core.
What time is that?
I'm sorry, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a free event, but you just have to go to the website and register so that you got a ticket to come in, because it is limited seating. So 10 to 1 is the event, and then if you want to stay for grassroots training, you're welcome to do that in the afternoon after lunch. Yes, ma'am.
Is this Common Core has to be used in all the charter schools too?
Yes. Charter schools are bound.
The whole school is the only way.
Private schools are not bound to it, but there is discussion. Senator Gates has come out in the newspaper and said that he would like to see some expansion of the scholarship, the state-funded scholarship programs, and that part of that would be contingent upon those students, if they took a step-up scholarship, a McKay scholarship, those kind of things, that they would then be tested with Common Core tests, which would de facto force private schools that took those scholarship students into teaching Common Core.
And homeschooling.
So Homeschoolers are primarily affected by the testing, because that's one of the ways that we show adequate yearly progress is by doing a standardized test, and as all those standardized tests go to Common Core, that's impacting us more and more, along with restricted curriculum choices. We're seeing many of our curriculum choices are now being aligned to Common Core. And guys, I mean, I could talk to you another 30 minutes on the flaws within the standards. There's serious problems within the standards themselves. Yes, sir.
Well, 3 questions. First one, you said earlier that this was in Florida and being used for 2 years before people caught on realized.
Yes.
Well, what in the world is a pause bill then? If you stop it, what are the teachers going to use?
There's plenty of we had great standards before, and materials that were just fine before that they could immediately pick up and go back
Do you
to.
have to go to different textbooks too for the duration of the pause?
What we actually see anymore are very few textbooks in the classroom anyway. It's almost all online learning, so it would simply be a matter of switching over to a different online system.
Okay, second question. Is there anything in the Common Core that denigrates or puts down Christianity or Christian worldview?
It's very subtle, because again, it's not curriculum. So yeah, a lot of the curriculum choices are terrible, but what they'll say to you, well, that's not Common Core, you still have choices. What I see in the standards themselves that's contrary to a biblical worldview are some of the methodologies for teaching that are very humanistic in nature. They are teaching, it's called intrapersonal traits, where they're going far beyond just standards of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and moving to character traits like perseverance, where they're wanting children to struggle through math problems, to train them in perseverance. There's some other kind of strange things. There's also a huge emphasis on collaborative learning. And at first glance, we may go, oh, collaboration, we all have to collaborate. But in the elementary, really in any level, do you all remember what happens in school when you do a group project? What happens? Yes, teachers have testified. This is already happening in classrooms. As the collaborative learning model is employed, teachers are being asked to stand to the side. You're the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage. I would say this is in direct conflict with the biblical model of learning. Jesus did not say to the 12, let's break you up into small groups and have you all discuss the best ways to spread the gospel, and then we're going to have a couple of you come up and share. He taught. He was the wise man who taught them and trained them and sent them out. That is the traditional Western model of learning, and it's being abandoned in this Common Core collaborative learning model. Yes, ma'am.
Of the 19,000 comments, were they 90% negative? I mean,
you know, I have not seen the breakdown on that. My guess would be that there was the strong proportion of them would have been negative. I think that their complaint about that was we wanted specific feedback on specific standards. Now, how many parents really are going to read this stuff? And quite frankly, a lot of it has to do with what's left out of the standards when something is taught. There's a lot of things that are developmentally inappropriate in here. So they're asking young children to do things that are beyond their brain capability, because these were written by folks that didn't understand how children learn. So.
And of the federal money,
Yes.
If the state didn't adopt the Common Core, then how was the federal money that comes for education, was it simply cut off to zero, or how was that going to work?
What we took was $700 million grant that was tied to Race to the Top funding. But we also tied ourselves to Common Core through something called the No Child Left Behind waiver. So we're doubly tied. And now in the future, the president has already announced that for future Title I funding and any federal education funding is going to be tied to the continuing use of those national standards. So it would be a fight to get out of this.
Well, not only a fight, but then you've got the state having to fund, if they pulled out,
Correct.
what the Fed did not.
We have many states joining with us in this fight, so you're seeing a widespread uprising. Yes, sir, I better stop.
You mentioned writing letters, and maybe you could answer, or maybe somebody else can hear. How effective are letters to legislators?
I think they are effective. What we've seen is, I've seen mountains move in 9 months. And so I am praising God for every victory that we've had. Prayer makes a huge difference, you all. I mean, this is a huge battle. But those letters, those emails, those calls have opened doors that have never been opened. People that wouldn't talk to us, and then we target them and say, we need y'all to really target this person. And suddenly my phone is ringing. I mean, I can't believe senators calling me, or representatives calling me, and they want to talk. So it does matter. That public pressure, those mamas and daddies make a huge difference.
more
I
questions,
will-
Tom Johnson?
Yeah, I really don't have a question, I have a comment. I would like to encourage everybody to get involved in this election campaign. When they've got people running for office, you go work for them on a Saturday, you are amazed when they're working campaign, you're walking with them, they will listen to you. Because, you know, we've had experience with Greg Evers and Dave Merzen, and Dave has come a long way in 10 years from when we first started talking 10 years ago. And just by walking on Saturdays with him, he's been very conservative where he was to the middle 10 years ago. And I would encourage everybody just to get involved with this campaign season.
That's a good point. If you want to take it to the next level of influence,
Yes.